Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a little look into r/am I the Porthole. It is late, so if I sound a little lackluster, that is why. So yeah, if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to with me today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please, thank you. And of course, by lackluster, I don't mean that I don't want to be reading these. I mean, I'm trying not to wake up the whole house. So I'm not my probably usual very loud self. But yeah, quick disclaimer before we get into it, any posts that I read today and any opinions that I give are just my opinions, not facts, do not need to be taken as such. If you have a different opinion, then that is great. Do feel free to share it in the comments below. Just make sure you're keeping it respectful with each other. There is no need to be mean to anyone just because you don't agree. With that being said, let's get into it then, shall we? Actually, first off, before we get into it, considering I know this one's going to go up on Monday, if you notice, and probably have already noticed, for the people who are regular viewers here, that I'm not as sort of active in the comments, it's nothing going on really. It's just the last few weeks now, last 4 or 5 weeks before the end of the summer term, and they tend to be the busiest because you've got sports days and we'll get wrapping up on, all of their appointments that they need to have before the end of the summer and what have you. So, and I also have my own hospital appointments. I finally have my cardiologist appointment soon. So, there is a lot going on, and all of that around usual parenting and usual just day-to-day stuff as well. So yeah, if I'm not as active in the comments, don't worry, there's nothing going on. I am fine. It just so happens to be a very busy time of year, very mentally busy and very mentally taxing too, not in a bad way, just in a way. So that is why. Anyway, enough blabbing now. Let's get into it. So this first one was posted by Drive Code 9111. Am I the Porthole for making my co-worker cry because I mocked her nose job? Goody, oh dear. So this one's been tagged as everyone sucks, so can't wait to read this one. I am working long-term in Korea and got hired for a job that consisted of only Koreans. There's this one particular co-worker that was really nice to me until I showed her a picture of my boyfriend one day, who was also Korean. From that day onward, she low-key started being a bit snarky towards me. Oh? At first, she would comment on the type of food I would eat, like, wow, you're eating all of that? That's a lot of calories. But as time went on, the comments got nastier and nastier. There was this one time when she asked me if my great-grandparents were, and I cannot say that word, okay, because I know for a fact YouTube really hates that word. So yeah. But yeah, the little mustache man who was responsible for causing lots of devastation and trying to wipe out an entire people. So yeah, we'll put it that way, those ones. I'm German American, but at the time I didn't realise she was being passive aggressive. How would you not realise she was being passive aggressive? I'm not being funny, that's quite obvious. And thought she genuinely was concerned about my health and curious about my family history. I only started to realise the shade when she started commenting on my relationship with my boyfriend, talking about how she didn't like how there were so many white girls dating Korean guys nowadays, and basically the typical racist, ethnic homogeneity is good crap. Yeah, see, I definitely, I understand the culture's completely different over there, but I think no matter where you are, it shouldn't be okay to comment on people's weight. So yeah, definitely not liking the co-worker so far. At this point, I was just fed up with her and started ignoring her and refusing to look in her general direction. But recently, there was this one incident where she started talking shit about my looks, and in a fit of anger, I told her that at least I didn't need an obvious and terrible nose job to look decent. But I said this way too loudly, and basically everyone on the floor heard my comment, because everyone was staring in our direction. She started tearing up and crying. To be honest, I knew she was insecure about her nose, because since it was a secret secret that she told me before the beef how she regretted the surgery because it didn't turn out the way she hoped. But because I was so angry and she was dissing my looks, I blurted it out. I told my boyfriend about this and he said that I was in the right, but the general consensus among my other co-workers was that I shouldn't have said that personal secret out loud and instead talk with her privately. Am I the butthole? I understand retaliating in a tit for tat way because, you know, if someone's like being horrible about your appearance for ages, it's hard not to want to do that. If she had told you in secret, though, in confidence that she'd had a nose job and no one else knew she had a nose job, and then you shouted out that she'd had a nose job in the middle of work, yeah, definitely the butthole for that. I mean, to be quite honest, she doesn't sound like a nice person at all. But that was a really shitty thing to do, just like out in someone's like personal information that they told you in confidence at the same time. I mean, you could have retaliated without letting out a big secret that wasn't yours to tell, you know? But let's have a look at what the commenters say, shall we? So, Duplay says, you weren't wrong to be angry, just reckless with the ammo. Exactly. And then Faulty Rainbow says, oh, I love this description. I might steal that and use this phrase in the future if you don't mind, lol. And then Everything Sucks Yo says, I respect your respect, but it's still funny to see someone asking if it's okay for them to use words. Literally. So next post, MoneyShip9235 says, am I the butthole for telling my parents they lost the right to have opinions on my life after they gave me zero support in college? Okay, so I need Reddit to tell me if I'm being too harsh. When I graduated high school, it was a whole thing. Big dinner, my mum cried, my dad gave a speech. They were very proud. And then I moved into my dorm and it was like I fell off the face of the earth to them. And I'm not being dramatic. My first semester was very rough. New place, didn't know anyone, was drowning academically and didn't even know how to ask for help yet. I called my mum twice, actually crying, and both times she went, you'll figure it out, you're smart, and got off the phone. Oh wow, yeah, no, not good. My dad's whole thing was texting happy birthday and Thanksgiving, and that's it. That was the relationship for 2 years. Money stuff, I'll keep short. I was told I was taken care of, and then I very much was not. So I figured out and filled the gap myself. Sophomore year, something happened that was really hard and I needed my mum. She said she had a lot going on and we'd talk later. We never talked later. I think that was the moment I just accepted that I was on my own and started acting like it. Fast forward to now, I'm home for the summer because rent is an actual joke, and I'm trying to save money. And suddenly, both of my parents have remembered that they have a daughter and are very interested in what she's doing with her life. My mum wants to know my schedule. My dad keeps forwarding me LinkedIn posts with no context. They have opinions about my sleep schedule, my job, whether I'm worrying enough about my future. I smiled and nodded for honestly like 6 weeks because I'm not trying to make this summer harder than it has to be. But then last night my mum said that I needed to be more focused and my dad jumped in agreeing and I just put my fork down. I told them I really struggled to sit there and take advice from people who didn't pick up the phone when I actually needed them. That I spent 2 years figuring everything out alone and I was fine. That I didn't need them to parent me now because honestly, where was this energy before? My mum got really quiet and then started crying. My dad said I was being cruel and disrespectful. I said I was just being honest and went to my room. Yeah, truth hurts though. If they really thought like that wasn't happening and that it really didn't happen, they'd be like, well, no, that's not right because we've done this and we've done that. And, you know, they'd be able to have actual proof of where they have held, but they know they can't. So they revert to, you're just being disrespectful. My dad called my aunt and now she's texting me about how they love me and did their best. I know they love me. I'm not questioning that. It's just not really the point. I tried and tried to get help and they shrugged me off until now. I don't fully regret it, but I also feel kind of bad about it. I don't know. Am I the butthole? No, I don't think so. I mean, there could be an argument for, well, if you knew that you were upset with the way they were treating you, why didn't you bring it up before? Why didn't you message and just say, look, you know, we need to have a talk because this is really upsetting me? Yes, of course, you could say that. But when it's your own parents, a lot of the time, we don't know the larger context of what their relationship is like with their parents. And if they have learnt over time that asking for things or trying to have a serious talk is not going to get them anywhere, you can understand why they wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? There's only so many times you can be like, look, I need you to hear me, and then not be heard. You know, you're going to get to a point where you're like, I'm not going to bother. So you could say that maybe that could have happened before saying, like, you know, I don't really need to be taking advice off you when you've done fuck all for me for 2 years and not even been there emotionally for me. But honestly, I feel like I understand. I completely understand where the OP's coming from, and I don't think they're the butthole in this at all. So, Avius96 says, not the butthole. Actions have consequences. Sophomore year, something happened that was really hard and I needed my mum. Never calling you back isn't them doing their best. Exactly, because it's not even like it took much. What? Staying on the phone, having a conversation, emotionally supporting their daughter. Yes, of course, realistically, maybe financially supporting. I don't know how old you are when you go into like sophomore year of college. I don't know. Because here it'd be like you're going to college when you're 16. So of course you're going to support your kid financially, but I don't know how old you are when you're going to college. So, you know, you could say at that point you're old enough to financially figure it out for yourself. I don't know. But still, if they'd said they would support financially and then they just didn't bother, you've not really left your kid to have much time to, you know, figure things out and be able to put things in place for themselves. They set the tone for your relationship. You are just following the new status quo. I'd bet money as soon as you're back on campus, it'll be more of the same as the last 2 years. Just right now, you're under their roof. Therefore, they believe they can parent you again. Exactly. And then Ice Seeker says, agreed, when you went to college, either they washed their hands of you out of negligence or they abandoned you to force you to be independent. Either way, both have damaging consequences. I don't blame you for feeling hurt. They failed you when you needed them the most. Exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it? Like, money aside, they haven't been there for the OP emotionally whatsoever, and the OP has literally, you know, reached out, I'm having a terrible time, I need to talk, and the mum's gone, oh yeah, I'll get back to you, and then never bothered. You know, that's awful. Like, how could you just leave your kid distressed like that and not ring them back? That's terrible. So, next post posted by FrostyBuilder9326. Am I the butthole for telling my husband he can't hang out with his friends for 10 hours straight? Okay, not liking that title. You know, people should be able to go and spend the day with their mates, but we don't know the context yet, so I will put aside my judgment for now. I am a 28 female. I have been married for 7 years to my husband, 34 male. Every other week, my husband goes and hangs out with his friends, and it's not like they're drinking or going to the bars. They're literally hanging out at one of their houses playing D&D or Magic the Gathering. I have no interest in D&D or Magic, so I'm happy that he has a group of friends that he can hang out with. He hangs out with friends from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. every other Saturday. I don't really say anything to him about it because he does deserve to have time to himself, even though it can sometimes be an inconvenience, but telling him to cancel a night due to life events for a fun activity I would like to do can cause him to complain and get upset that he never gets to hang out with his friends. Okay, but he does. He gets to go every other weekend, as we have just established. They could hang out together outside of those times too. I'm guessing they choose not to for whatever reason. We currently share a car after his became unrepairable. I also help take care of my younger special needs brother, so during the weekends, I like to take him out and do something fun for him since he doesn't get to leave the house much during the weekdays. My husband asked me today if it was okay for him to hang out with his friends this Saturday. I didn't really have anything planned, so I told him that's fine. He told me, okay, we'll be gone from noon to 10 p.m. Saturday. That caught me off guard because usually he never takes a full day to hang out with his friends. I asked him if he could possibly carpool with a friend so I could have the car, but he said he would need the car. I let him know that I didn't think he needed 10 hours to hang out with his friends, and that we could possibly compromise with it maybe just being 5 hours. He told me that his friends were going to a game store for a pre-release and then playing D&D after, so they would need the full 10 hours. I let him know that he needs to be realistic and understand that it's not fair to take our only form of transportation to go and hang out with his friends for 10 hours while I'm here with my special needs brother. It's not fair to either of us. He ended up getting upset, telling me that he didn't go out the last 2 Saturdays, so he deserves to spend time with his friends. Even though I had nothing to do with him not going out the last 2 Saturdays, it was due to the fact that one of his friends was out of the state visiting family. How many friends meet up on these gatherings? What, can they not get together if one of them is missing? I don't understand that. I'm irritated. We've been married for 7 years, and when he argues with me on this, I feel like a mum telling her kid that he can't hang out with his friends. And it really shouldn't be that way in a marriage. Am I being a bitch for wanting him to be realistic about how much time he spends with his friends? Like, no, I wouldn't say so, because if he's going to be gone from noon till 10 p.m. and what was it? Normally it's 6 p.m. till 1 a.m., which is very much more reasonable in a way of if you've got to take the car, because then obviously it means that the OP can drop them off, pick them up or whatever, or if they take the car, then it could be on a day where the OP is just like, I'm just wanting to hang out at home today. And then it works out then, doesn't it? But yeah, taking the car all day when it's the only form of transport and the OP has to like care for their younger brother, no, that's not gonna work, is it? Like, and then throwing a hissy fit when it's not that the OP's not letting them go, it's that they didn't hang out for reasons that were outside of whatever the OP had anything to do with anyway. So making out it's the OP's fault when clearly it's not, you know? So, Moonstone Dragonfly says, it's not the hanging out with friends that is the problem. It's being stranded at home without any transportation. Could you not drop him off at his friend's house? I mean, the OP did suggest that, and he's already said no because he wants the car. There's got to be another solution than leaving you without a way to get around. Not the butthole, exactly. And then Reverend Mothman says, a friend picking him up on the way to the hangout house. And then Ice Seeker says, or the husband can take an Uber. Taking the car for 10 hours straight prevents OP from helping her brother who's in need. Exactly. And it's even like, it's not like the OP said like, no, I need the car that whole time. The OP's been like, okay, so could you reduce it to 5 hours so I can have the car for a bit and then you can have the car for a bit, which is the most reasonable option if you ask me. But clearly he does not want to listen to that. He does not want to play ball. So, I don't know what you'd do there, but yeah, I don't think the OP's being unreasonable really, because they really have tried to work with him on it. Okay then, last post for the day. So, Right Company 4025 says, am I the butthole for refusing to help with my nieces until my brother and sister-in-law take my younger niece to a doctor? I have 2 nieces. Eloise is 7 and Harper is 5. I work from home and have the most flexible schedule, so I handle school pickup for the girls. I'm the first point of contact for the school, and I've been chaperoning on field trips lately. Eloise was diagnosed with anxiety, and her mum claims she has severe ADHD, which hasn't been diagnosed. Eloise is a completely normal 7-year-old. Harper, on the other hand, actually has some type of severe attention disorder and possibly a stomach issue. I am called to pick her up at least once a week because of diarrhea. She wears pull-ups at school due to frequent poop accidents. Her classroom has 21 students and 3 teachers, and one of those teachers has been unofficially assigned to be Harper's one-on-one because she constantly wanders off. She doesn't respond when you call her. She's oblivious to everything around her. She doesn't share. She will move through groups of people almost without realizing they're there. She can't sit at circle time long enough for her teachers to read a story, even when they give her toys to play with, or let her sit in her teacher's lap. She's not allowed on field trips unless either I or one of her parents comes with her. Her school's developmental specialist has come in to observe her and to try and get her to participate with the rest of the class, or even just sit down long enough to eat her snack or lunch, with no success. Despite all this, Harper is reading at a 2nd grade level and doing math at a 1st grade level. Harper has been kicked out of 2 preschools because they can't handle her, and even this current school that has assigned her a one-on-one and has a developmental specialist, psychologist, and an OT on staff. OT, occupational therapist? That's what OT stands for where I am. I'm not sure if that's what that stands for, is starting to say that this might not be the best environment for Harper. Yeah, and it is quite typical, isn't it, for neurodivergent kids to struggle, especially in the early years, with stomach issues and toileting issues. Like, it's very common. Harper is the same way at home. She forgets to drink water. She doesn't think to eat until you put the food in front of her. Every exterior door and window has child locks and has an alarm because of her tendency to wander off. The majority of my cabinets have multiple child locks because she's figured out how to get through them. She wears a leash in public because the number of times her parents and I have lost her in stores. Last week was the straw that broke the camel's back. Harper was sent home from school for repeated attempts to climb the fence and for running away during circle time and getting into the art supplies that were set aside for later. And at my house, her tummy was bothering her, so she wanted to be held all the time, meaning I couldn't work until she was picked up. When my brother came to pick up the girls, I told him I couldn't do this anymore and that I will not take care of the girls or do anything for school until Harper sees a doctor for all of her issues. My brother still insists that Harper is fine and that me refusing to help with no notice is screwing him over. I refuse to budge, and now I have family saying it's not my place to demand that he takes her to a doctor. Well, it is if you're the one who's having to deal with the school all the time, and if you're the one who is having to, pick her up when she's poorly, and deal with her ransacking your cupboards and what have you, and that is no fault of the kid. It definitely sounds like there is something going on. And it's very weird as well that they're like, oh no, what was the other kid's name? Oh, Eloise. It's funny how they're saying the 7-year-old Eloise apparently has severe ADHD, but there's no issues at school. I'm sorry, but if there was severe ADHD, there would be issues at school. There doesn't seem to be any issues that the OP is getting calls from the school about Eloise, the older kid. And yeah, I'm just thinking that Eloise is the favourite child. And they're absolutely neglecting Harper's needs. And there could be something worse going on. If she's having diarrhea all the time and achy stomach, there could be something even worse going on for her. So down in the comments, Servant Girl 789 says, not the butthole. It sounds like you need to call CPS. Your niece is being medically neglected, and that's abuse. If a surprise visit from CPS doesn't light a fire under them, nothing will. So Indominus Cat then says, this current school that has assigned her a one-on-one and has a developmental specialist, psychologist, and an OT on staff. All of these people are mandated reporters if any of them felt CPS should be involved. Yeah, but the thing is, it's scary how often things don't get reported by people who should. Okay then, so I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. If you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that is your initiation into the Governor Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.